Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. All right, we'll say take 3 on this so far. This is going to be just kind of a bit of a ramble today. Got a couple questions I'm going to answer. Got some knives I'm going to show. Basically talk about some things that are going to be upcoming. Things of that nature. It is going to be all over the place. So if you're not looking for something like that, you might want to just kind of give this one a pass. I really am not prepared to talk about anything at the moment. And thanks to the way the post office has been going, there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about that aren't here yet. There are some big projects that I'm working on that I can't really proceed with. And then there's also some new knives that I do want to show, and I will be showing those very soon. But before I get moving on with that, I want to bring up something about the video that was just released on Friday on the bluegill cotton sampler that I did. Talked a little bit about it, and also showed a couple other knives in the video. Among those knives that I showed, I believe it was this one here, and this is the teardrop knife. Someone said that this was definitely made by Buck, and yes, it is definitely made by Buck. I thought I had mentioned that in the video. Maybe I did not. But what I was trying to get across is this knife, just like this knife, also a Buck knife, were knives that were made in collaboration with Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and they were made in the Rough Rider factory. These knives, such as this one, this is the Teardrop Go Fish knife, and the Bill Lowen series. I think this is the very last knife in that series that popped. Well, things like the bail here, this bail that looks like a fish hook, this was actually designed by Brian Wilhoit, and you'll see that it appears on quite a few of those Bill Lowen knives, and all of these were made in the Rough Rider factory, or more correctly, the Smoky Mountain Knife Works factory, where Rough Rider knives are made over in China. And well, this knife, like I had mentioned, I did not believe that Rough Rider has built any other knife like this. And what I was talking about with that is this blade here. I think they have done a teardrop knife, but it did not have this like serrated bone saw blade on it. It might have had a pin blade, and it probably had the spear blade. And they have recently came out with another one of these teardrop knives. Matter of fact, I've already bought it, and that is in the 30th anniversary series. So I'll be doing a video of this knife in the very near future. And you can see that this is essentially the same knife. The bolster looks a little bit different. The bottom cap bolster is definitely different, and it doesn't have the bail on the bottom there. And they have did some work on the blade, but it is still a Spear Master blade. This is a single bladed knife. And obviously, if you notice, the blade shape is a little bit different. The swedge is a little different. The Buck knives did not use a match strike pull. Does have the half stop, and the Rough Rider has the match strike pull, the full swedge going on there. Well, about a 2/3 swedge going on there. I'll be talking more about this one when I get into the 30th anniversary knives. I've got a second 30th anniversary knife also coming, so I'll probably talk about the 30th anniversary knives when the next one comes in. But also, this was the Buck Bill Lowen fish knife, and what was this one? Catch You Later was the etch on this one. But if you see the scaling blade, you notice you've got that saw type blade going on there. You have the graduated numbering going on, and then the cap lifter. And this was the Rough Rider, and in the copper bolster series, or black smooth bone or something like that. I can't remember the exact name. They replaced the fish scale, the fish tang with a hook sharpener there, but it has the same fish hook bail going on there. See that? Same fish hook bail. And it also has the same blade going on here. See the numbering going on out to 3.5 inches or so, and the way the saw is cutting and everything else. The difference between this and the Bill Lowen, though, is the Bill Lowen has a locking main blade. It has that liner lock going on for the main blade. The Rough Rider did not. So why they did not go with the lock on the fish blade is, or the clip blade, is beyond me. But I wish Rough Rider would come out with another 5-inch toothpick with the lock up here, or the fish knife with the lock up there. That would be pretty cool. But that was the first fish knife by Rough Rider, and notice it carried over with the fish hook bail that they first used on the Bill Lowen line. And this was their trapper, and this trapper has also bumped over to the Rough Rider lineup. This is the first in the Bill Lowen line, and they now have a trapper with this same blade. I do not know if the blade has the liner lock or not, but they did make a jumbo trapper with this blade, and it had a secondary Wharncliffe blade. Now this Wharncliffe blade, as you can see, has the serrated bone saw edge going on, but the Rough Rider one has just a basic Wharncliffe blade. So several of the knives in the Bill Lowen lineup ended up jumping over into the Rough Rider line. Notice this one has the fish hook bail. Also, the Mr. Crappie knife here, I showed this one before in that in the lineup before. Now they had two knives in the Mr. Crappie setup. One of them was this one. This was the second one. I missed out on the first one. I was too late in the game to grab it. These were made in very limited numbers. I think it might have been 2,500 or something like that that were made. Same with these. These were all made in low numbers. But this was the early saw-belly trapper that they came out with. Notice it has got a cutting edge here for a little serrated edge there. They described it as for cutting through bone and also for cutting through fish line, like braided fish line and stuff like that. So you have the clip blade there, and then also a spay blade, because we all know how everyone wants to spay their crappie and then return them. You know, it's the safe way of fishing. Make sure you spay your crappie before you return them to the water. You know, anyway, these were in black smooth bone, and then they were capped off with some highlights of abalone and pearl. So that's what these knives were. And like I said, there was also a moose in this lineup too. I do not have the moose, unfortunately. But just so you know, all of these buck knives, all of them, but just so you know, these Bill Lowen knives, they were made in collaboration. But anyway, I just wanted to clarify that these were buck knives, or they were commissioned through Buck Knives. It was a promotion that Buck was doing. They were doing it in collaboration with Smoky Mountain Knife Works and Bill Lowen. But the knives were made in China, and they were made in the same factory that the Rough Rider knives are made. And many of them ended up popping over to the Rough Rider line, or they were actually built on knives that Rough Rider already made, such as the Rough Rider canoes and the mini trapper. I don't have the canoe. I do have the mini trapper. They also had a 3-blade trapper in the Bill Lowen line. I did a video on all of the Bill Lowen knives, so we can talk about that. Or I'll try and remember to link over to the Bill Lowen video. Anyway, let's move on to something else. Okay, before I get into all the stuff up there, let's take a look at something of interest to me. I need to find out more about this knife. This is a Marble's safety folder. There are so many different knives that Marble's made that ended up being called a safety folder, but this one's kind of an interesting knife. Now, from what I understand, this is one of the knives that was made. It's basically a knife that all the parts came out of Gladstone, Michigan. However, it was actually assembled in China by Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Now, when the Marble's factory closed, when they went out of business and everything, from what I understand, the trademark was picked up by Blue Ridge. However, Kevin Pipes of Smoky Mountain Knife Works fame bought a lot of the stock of knives down there, and what he did was he took the blades and the handles and everything and then had them assembled in his factory in China. And this is one of those knives. I have the little authentication piece of paper with it somewhere, but to be honest with you, I don't think that paper would convince anybody that what I said is true. So in any case, the knife is pretty cool. I do not know when Marble's first started making these. I think they started doing these back in the 1920s or something. And it is basically a fold-out knife that turns into a fixed blade, so it will not close up on you. And if you see here, you open it up, and the handle is brass. You open it up, that's as far as it will open. You pull out the blade, and there you got the blade, a nice fish blade, or fish knife blade there. You've got the scaler there, you got the wonderful clip blade there, and then close it down, and you got your fish knife with a really nice clip blade. And anyway, and it will not close. Even if you don't have your hand on that, you still cannot force that closed. There we go, finally. But it's going to close when your hand is like that. So it's kind of a cool knife. Hollow handle, so it's relatively light. The balance point on it is way back here. So, which means your hand's not going to get tired with this knife. It's really turns into a true fixed blade, a hollowed handle fixed blade. Very short tang though, obviously. But what we're talking about is a knife that you're using to cut fish and stuff like that. So you don't really need a big long tang. Doesn't need to be full tang or anything like that. And I don't know. It's just one of those really cool things that Marble's made. And that's one of the things I liked about the old Marble's company. They had some very ingenious designs that they came out with. In any case, thought I'd show that real quick. And as long as I've talked about that, let's move into another somewhat nautical knife. This is I don't know how much I'm going to talk about this one. I don't know if I'm going to do a real video on it or not, but this is by Jet Air. It is another one of my Marlin Spike knives, is one I've been looking for. And I don't know if there's an issue with this knife or not. I know there's a few minor issues with it, but I don't know about the blade, if there's an issue with the blade or not. You got the Marlin Spike back here. Pop it open. Really nice bail or lanyard ring, whichever way you want to call it. And that holds the spike locked. Press down, it releases, and then you have the blade on the other side. And the blade is really a nice shape. I like the shape of it. The way the handle runs is really nice. But the thing is there is no, it's almost like a friction folder blade. And I don't know if it's supposed to be that way or not. I thought at first when I saw the knife that it was like they were ripping off Myerchin, because, well, the shape of this is very much like Myerchin, and even the shape of the handle is a little bit like Myerchin. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people have never heard of Myerchin, so let me show you. This is Myerchin's Marlin Spike knife. This is the captain's knife, and you can see kind of the similarity, especially with that bail or the release for the spike. Now, the way the Myerchin works, it's the same way. You pull it out and it's locked, right? And you pull back on the release. You know, this is very common. This is the same way that you do it with Camillus and so many other companies. That's the way the release for the spike is done. However, with Myerchin, you also have this. Pop it open. The blade is locked, and it's like, well, there's no liner lock or anything, so how do you release the blade? And, well, you release the blade the same way. You press down on the lanyard catch or the bail, whatever you want to call it, and that frees the blade and you can close it. Blade locks because if you can see right here, there's a little catch in the blade here. And when it comes back, it will slip underneath here. And you have that catch on both sides of the spring there. So the one, the lanyard loop or the bail acts on both the blade and the Marlin spike on a Myerchin knife. And I thought that was what was supposed to be happening on here, but there's no catch on the blade. So I'm not sure if someone removed the catch or if Jet Air just didn't know what they were doing with it. In any case, the blade works fine. I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to stab with it, and it obviously doesn't lock, but when it's in position, you know, it's in position. I don't know. Anyway, I got a feeling that it's a little bit screwed up. Might be why I got it for such a good price. Anyway, moving on, where am I at? Well, if you never heard of Myerchin, you probably never heard of this company either. This is Davis. Davis is another one of those maritime companies, you know, the folks who make stuff for, you know, those weekend sailors and people who ride around on boats a lot and stuff like that. Davis, I think they're still in business. I think they followed Tello. I think Tello was the first company, and now we have Davis. And I don't know if Tello is gone, or, but I do believe it is. In any case, the knives are very familiar, and you'll find these knives basically at places like West Marine and other companies that build, that make stuff for sailors. These are more the knives that the average sailor is going to grab. He's not going to grab, you know, the old Camillus knives, or the Myerchins are the more expensive knives. These are also knives made for nautical use. Myerchin is a sailor. He came out with a knife for that. Kind of like David Boy, who came out with a knife specifically for nautical use. But these are for the rank and file. These are the budget knives. And they have an interesting lock on the back here. It's known as a Curry lock. And that's because, well, it was made by Captain Curry, who was a sailor from long ago, and in Great Britain. And I mean, a champion. We're talking about someone who won trophies and everything sailing, Curry. And he developed what's known as the Curry lock. You see here, the Curry lock spike. This one doesn't work quite as well as it should because, well, this is a pretty old one. This is kind of nice. Got the screwdriver here and the cap lifter. In any case, let's close that up. And you see the shackle key on the side here. The shackle key, for those who don't know, this is your shackle. This is the bolt that goes in there, and you turn it. And this has the other kind of shackle key. I talk about these all the time, I know. So a lot of people are like, didn't you already tell us about this? Yes, I sure did. But that's the shackle. But what we have here on this knife and on this knife is the Curry lock spike. And well, you probably know what a lock spike is too. It's a spike that locks in place, right? But it's not locking. At least it doesn't lock the way the ones on your Camillus lock, right? Everyone's familiar, at least most people in America are familiar with the way, or most of us knife collectors are familiar with the Camillus ones. If you're in the Marlin spike knives, pull back and you can close the spike, right? Otherwise it's locked. Pull back and you can close it. Well, in this one, what you do is you press down. Now this one doesn't work quite right, probably for a good reason. It's probably just worn out or something, because this knife was used quite a bit, and it's also probably about 50 years old or so. But if you press down, it'll still lock. Now this one is working the way it's supposed to. Matter of fact, both of these work the way it's supposed to. And right now, let's see, all right, open it, and you press down, and if you listen, you hear that click? This will not move anywhere now. It is locked, it's not moving anywhere. And if you pull up, it'll free. And what you're doing here is very simple. See this? Can we see this? Let's see if we can get the light hitting it right. There we go. Press down and see how that goes right there. And that is got the spike lock now. Now, if I push it this far, it'll start opening, but then the lock is not going to work for the spike. So you push it this way and free it. The spike comes up. And if you see how this is still moving? As soon as you press down, it'll snap in place. And now it will not move. It just can't, because this is blocking it. That was patented a good 55, 60 years ago, the Curry lock spike. And Davis uses it, and so did Tello. I think several other companies use it now in Marlin spikes. In any case, thought I'd show that real quick and explain exactly what the lock spike was. Another knife I got. This is the Queen Big Chief. This is one of the original ones. Sadly, mine has a broken back spring. Yeah, the spring on this is broken. Yet, despite the spring being broken, the knife kind of holds in place all right. You can push down. You can see down there. Matter of fact, I might be able to get part of the spring out. I think I did before, but you can see that it is broken. I think I talked about this knife before. I have a replacement spring. I'm going to have to buy it, but right now the knife still works fine. I really got to clean it up though. This is an original one. I like it because it says patent pending, because this is one of the original Queen Big Chiefs. They have remade them, and I know that the Queen made in China Big Chief has the cutout there, which I don't like. But in any case, I do have the back spring, so I just don't have the courage yet to pop the pin out to remove the blade, because then all I have to do is slide the back spring back in place, and I'll have a proper working knife. Let's see if I ever do. One of these days, maybe. Knife I'll be talking about real soon too, but I wanted to show it real quick. This is the Pandora Swirl, the Rough Rider Pandora Swirl. I'll be talking about this real soon, and this is the Deer Slayer. I'm not 100% sure how many other knives in the Pandora Swirl series I'll be picking up, but I definitely had to get the Deer Slayer just because of the enormous size of these knives. It's one of those patterns that I really enjoy, so I had to grab the Pandora Swirl Deer Slayer. So if you're a a fan of the Deer Slayer or the, I think it was the Case Bulldog. Yeah, this is a big knife, by the way, for those who are not familiar. What, 5 1/4, 5.5 inches closed. And let's get it opened all the way. You see right there, 9 5/8 inches overall. Just for comparison, I love to do this. Camilla's Air Force survival knife. I'm sorry, jet pilot knife. Look at the handle length on that. Overall length of these two knives is the same, exactly the same. However, this has a shorter handle. So the blade on this is right at 4 inches or so, and this with that 5.5 inch handle brings it out to the same length. So that's pretty cool. So if you're talking about a substantial folding knife, we're talking about a big one here. Yeah, any case, I will be talking more about this one, and I will be comparing it to my older Rough Rider Deer Slayer knives, because there are some differences between this knife and the earlier Deer Slayers by Rough Rider. So I'll be talking about that pretty soon. And this is another knife I'll be talking about real soon too. This is a British Army lockback knife. There's a story behind these knives that I think is really interesting, and I want to share it with you. I know a little bit about them, but not as much as I wish. But it's a pretty cool knife, and you can see that right there. It's a nice lock. Very crude, but effective. That's what I'll say about that one. I'll also be talking a little bit about sodbusters in the very near future, including, where is it at? Do I have it here? Is this it? That might be one of them. Yeah, right here, the Mule Skinner. Be talking about the Mule Skinner and sodbusters in general in the very near future. So I don't know what else I could talk about. Here's another knife I'll probably be talking about soon. This is by Schrade. Yeah, this is their caping knife, and really like this knife. Like the sheath too. Matter of fact, the sheath is very impressive for the price that I paid on this knife. Anything else? Jeez, I really don't know. I guess I rambled about as far as I can. I will be talking quite a bit about sodbusters in the very near future, and I will be giving you my thoughts on not only the Deer Slayer, but also the 30th anniversary knives, the Teardrop, and the other one that I have recently just ordered. I think I have enough to work on now for the near future. So as it is though, this is just kind of a little bit of a catch up on the channel, and a bit of a long ramble. Oh, here's another knife I just recently picked up. Another paring knife. This is the Case 274 paring knife. That's a cute one. I really like this. I might have to look at other Case kitchen knives, because this one's really nice. Very slim. Like it. Anyway, as you can see, I'm kind of just grabbing whatever's on the counter right now. Any case, with that said, I am going to let you go now. I will be showing you more about quite a few of these knives in the very near future. No, this is a bit of a long ramble. And I also will be doing a channel update in the very near future, as it seems I should be passing 10K pretty soon, which is a milestone for me. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to the next Gordon A. Whistle Pigs giveaway. I mean, he might have something special for 10K. I don't know. Any case, I will be talking to you again soon, and well, if you made it this far, you're probably a better person than I am. I would have probably hung up on me by now. Any case, I will let you go, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you very much for sticking around. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.